Hey everyone, welcome to or welcome back to Hillside Harvest Homestead. We have a milker, a brand new milker, and so I'm going to be going over that. I'm going to compare it also with our other milker that we had. The one that we've had and have been using for the last year is a hand top milker for our cow. I did make a video on it, so if you want to watch that, if you're in shopping mode for a cow milker, you can compare these two things. You can watch the video on the hand top milker, see if you like that one. You can view this one. So just some ideas. I will put a link to that hand top video in the description area so that you can watch that if you want to compare the two a little bit more. But I'll just kind of go over some of the pros and cons of both of the milkers. So the reason why we got a new milker, the hand top machine that we were using has worked great and I love it, but we came to an area where the motor wasn't working quite as well, and I will not absolutely at all put that on the hand top machine. I will put that on our error, because in my zombie-like mode in the mornings, there have been so few times that I have put the tubes on incorrectly. And so then when I go to milk my cow, I get the milk straight from the cow and run it through the motor instead of into the milking pail. So then when you do that, you have to go to the house or wherever you're cleaning your stuff, and then you have to run water through the motor. So now they do say in the instructions for the hand top machine that they do expect that to happen occasionally, and so Kitty, you're gonna make the camera fall. And so it is made so that you can run water through there to wash milk out should that happen. However, I don't think that it's meant to do that as often as I probably have. So, and then there have been the other times when I just go to hook everything up to clean it and just simply run water through it, even though I didn't run milk through it before. So, after a year's worth of use, it was not pulling as well, so the suction wasn't as strong. The motor was sounding a little bit different, so we needed to get a new motor. So it was up to either we buy a new motor, which is not a big deal. It was like a little over $100 for a new motor, or we can just get a new machine. We can get a bigger machine. So I was kind of back and forth on it. I did decide to go with a bigger machine for the fact that we now have 2 cows. So the hand top was great for 1 cow. They don't have, or that I know of, buckets large enough to be able to take all the milk that we'll be taking from 2 cows. So that was kind of the deciding factor for me, was the fact that the hand top is a little more, it's better for like 1 cow use, and then we have more than 1 cow at this point, so I wanted something that would be able to milk her out quickly and be able to store all of that milk. I wouldn't have to be hauling several pails of milk back and forth. Whoa, hello Kitty, that was a jump. Anyways, that I wouldn't have to be, like with the hand top, I'd have to have several pails and go back and forth. So anyways, with this bigger machine, I won't have to do that. So that was just kind of the deciding factor. So we put more money into this bigger machine. And I will go over some of the things I don't like about this new machine. There really wasn't very much that I didn't like about the hand top. In fact, I think probably the only thing that I would say that I would have preferred with the hand top was if it were had 4 claws or 4 teacup holders rather than just the 2. But it wasn't that big of a deal just for having 1 cow. So we'll go over, I'll show you this new machine, and I'll show you how to put it together. There are more pieces to this machine, so that also means that there's more cleaning time spent on this machine. To me, that it's a downside of it, but it's also worth it because we're going to be bringing in more milk. So I guess, yeah, the cleaning time is a little bit longer. Just because of all the pieces. Okay, so here's our machine. One of the things that I will say when we got this machine was that they packaged it in way too small of a crate. And so we did end up with a piece that was bent inwards. See if I can bring you this way. This cover right here was pushed in towards the fan. There's a fan in here, and it was pushed in against the fan, so we wouldn't have been able to use it. My husband had to bang it out so that we could use the machine. And that was just due to having too small of a crate. Now, that was one of the things that I saw in a lot of the reviews. See, this is a machine that it seems like there are different companies that sell this, and they're pretty much the same machine, if not the same machine. Some of them are just slightly different, but there are several of them that look exactly the same. They're just sold by different companies. And in all of them, you have reviews where you're seeing pictures of where people have gotten it, where this piece is bent in. So it was in all of the reviews. I was really hoping that I would be one of the lucky ones and not have that issue, but that didn't happen. So I was really disappointed by that. The other thing that happened upon when we got it is there's a little weighted ball in here, and that was missing. And it took quite a while for my husband and I to be running the machine, and why isn't it building pressure? We can't figure it out. And then we found out that it's because it's missing a little weighted ball in here. So we were thinking we weren't going to be able to use it, which really stunk because my little hand-taught machine was at the end of its life. So what my husband ended up doing was finding a little fishing weight and then filling the hole in the fishing weight with a toothpick so that it wouldn't have the air that that might possibly keep it from moving in here. And so he's using that. The company, I've been able to get a hold of them, and they are going to send me a weighted ball, and they are going to send me a new cover for this. So in the meantime, we are using it. It probably does not work quite as well as I would like it to with that little weight on there. I don't know. We'll see. But it does work. Okay, so that was just upon getting it. There's, looks like lots of tubes. We have, and I keep the machine down here in the barn. The only thing that I take up with me is the milk canister and then the tubes that are connected to it. Other than that, I leave this down here. This machine is really only good for moving along probably pavement or concrete. But we don't have concrete going down to our barn. We have to go through the yard and through a paddock area, and this just is rinky-dinky and will like tip over easily, so really that is not the best idea. So I just leave the machine down here. I do cover this whole area with a bag, the machine part of it, so that it doesn't get as much dust settling on it, to try to keep it as clean as possible. And I leave these two short tubes down here on the machine. These tubes, only air goes through them, so I'm not worried about having to clean them. One of the things that I did not like as well when I first got it is that I have already dealt within a week of, I think we've been using it for a week and a half or so, is that I already have some rust inside of this air tube. And then there's the milking claw that also has developed some rust in there. This one, when we first started using it, there was a little bit of, learning how to work this. There was a little bit of liquid in one of the air tubes, and I'm not really sure where it came from. Anyways, so it ran a little bit of liquid through this air tube, and that's probably how that rust happened. The rust in the claw, I don't know that you can avoid it because you have to clean the claw, because that's where milk runs through. So, okay, so one of the other things that I don't like about this machine is the handle area. Okay, so this lid is not, there's no clips to hold it down, so you can just simply lift it off. Okay, I don't like that. The hand top one does, you can clip the lid down. So when you go to carry the machine, the handle where you would use to hold or lift the canister with doesn't come up completely. It stops right at the handle that's on the lid. So, and if you go to grab both of them, this handle on the lid is just slightly, well, it might be about the same height. You end up putting more weight from your hand on to the handle from the lid, and so while you're walking, you end up lifting the lid off the container, which I don't like when I have milk in there because I don't want any contaminants in there. So I don't like that. I want the lid to stay secured on there until I'm ready to empty the milk into a strainer. So then when I lift the milk container, I have to lift it from the side. And I know that when I end up with 6 gallons of milk in there, it's going to be kind of a pain. So I would say that that is another downside to this machine. I think that could have been dealt with so much differently, but that's the way it is. All right, so we have an on-off switch here. Also, the other thing, when you look at these machines, they say they're nice and quiet. I don't know what they're comparing it to, because if I'm comparing it, the only one I'm comparing it to is our hand top machine, and this is not quieter than our hand top machine. It's actually quite loud. So, and that's louder than our hand top. So you've got your on-off switch here. Here is a dial that tells you what pressure it's at. So it should be when it has enough pressure to be pulsating the milk out, it needs to be at 0.04 or 0.045, which it tells you. There's a green section in here, which is where this little arrow should be pointing. So this tells you what your pressure's at. There is a way to change the pressure, which is on the claw. I have not had to use that yet because it goes exactly where it needs to go. Okay, so I haven't had to deal with trying to adjust the pressure on it at this point. All right, so we have these 2 tubes that are short tubes, and they're both the air tubes. And then we have 2 long tubes that are one small one and one large one. They came connected with zip ties, which I keep them because it helps keep them orderly. We want to keep them together. The small tube is the air tube, and the large one is the milk tube. So out of these 2 long tubes, if you look at this lid, down. Get that out of the way. All right, so if you look at the lid, on either side of the handle, we have 2 spouts. Okay, on this side of the handle, this middle spout that's in the center of the lid, both of these are air tubes, okay, off of this middle spout. But there's one small spout and one larger spout. On this side with the smaller air spout is also the large milk spout. So you've got one small and one large spout on one side of the handle. And on the other side of the handle, one large spout and one small spout. So you have a large and small on both sides. The side that takes in the milk is the side that has the large spout on the lid. Okay? And that's where your milk tube goes to. And then the other air tube that's connected to your milk tube goes on this spout, the air spout that's on the middle one, on this metal piece. Okay, so these two long tubes are going to connect to the two spouts on one side, on the same side, where the milk spout is connected to the lid. The other side, where you have the large spout connected in the middle and the small spout on the lid, are where your air tubes from your actual machine are connected to. All right, so we've got our air tubes on one side, and we've got one air tube and the milk tube that are connected to the claw on the other side. All right, the end of these two long tubes, we connect our claw, our milking claw. There are two little claws, but we'll go over the metal one first. The metal one is where the milk comes in, so you've got the other end of your milk tube connected to it. Okay, I'll try to move this puppy out of the way a little bit so you can see better. Okay. When I bought this claw came in one piece, so it helped me figure out what goes where, but I don't know in your case if you get one if they'll come in pieces or if they'll all come together. So you've got your 4 milk teats, okay? So you've got one tube where the milk comes from and one where air is suctioned out of. Okay, so the tube connecting the milk teat or the teacup to your metal claw has two different kinds of ends. One is just a solid piece of tubing. The other one actually, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a little bit bigger. It like bulges out a little bit on this end. That part is connected to your metal claw. It allows milk to come in through the hole in the end of this claw and into the tube. Okay, or from the other way, in through here and into the claw, because there's a little bit of room for that hole. Anyways, I will show this more as I clean it, but just to kind of give you a roundabout what we're doing here. Then we have the small claw, which is just for air. And those, each 4 small tubes are connected to your air spouts on the claw. Okay? So it looks like a little spider is what it looks like. All right, so that really is just the setup, the whole setup of this. It's really simple, really easy. When you turn this on, okay, first of all, they do make these little red, what would you call them? They're plugs to put into the end of these if you want them. I did not realize that I might need them until after I bought this, and I went and looked on YouTube as to how to put it together because I was a little stumped on a couple of these things. The instructions really stink that come with this, so you really kind of need a video to help you with it. But you don't have to have the plugs. Okay, even as a newbie, I've been able to figure out how to work this without the plugs. So the point of the plugs is so that it will build pressure before you're ready to put these onto your cow. The other way, if you don't have the plugs, you simply turn your claw upside down, and it has a little hanging hook right here so that you can hang it onto your machine and wait. It didn't work when I first got this because these tubes were so stiff that they weren't bending. But, so within just a couple of uses, they'll get a little more loose and they will bend. You want the plastic pieces that are attached to the milk part of your teacup, you want those to kind of kink, because that's what's going to help build your pressure. Okay, without the pressure, these are not going to stick onto the teats. All right, so I don't know if you can see it, but we'll try it. We'll turn it on, and I will show you that the pressure builds. Start to go up. To the point that you put it on your cow. Once it grabs onto the teat, it will also suck onto the teat and then close the teacup off to build pressure as well, so that helps. Now watch when I turn it over, you'll hear the hissing sound, and that pressure dropped. Okay, that pressure just dropped right away when I turned the claw over. It straightened the tubes out and it released all that pressure. Okay, so that's how you're going to build pressure. You're just going to turn this on. You can turn it on as you're cleaning your cow's teats, so that it gives it just a second to build pressure up, and then you're ready to go. Once that pressure is built up into this little green area up here, then you can just go ahead and stick the claw onto the teats. The other thing that I don't really like about this is that this claw is heavy because it's metal or steel. And so it's heavy, and I feel really bad for my cow. I swear her teats are going to be hanging on the ground pretty soon. So they do make plastic claws, which I'm going to look into, just because I'm hoping, I would assume that it's going to be lighter. And so I would prefer something that's lighter. It doesn't hang on her so much. I don't want to damage her teats. So far, this has not damaged her teats. The hand top machine never damaged my cow's teats. Those are positive things about both of those. So what I do like about this machine is that it does milk her out really quickly. In fact, so quickly that I don't even have the option to be able to go and do some chores real quick while she's being milked out, because it just takes a matter of minutes to milk her out, and that's 2 gallons worth in just a couple of minutes. So I do really like that. The hand top, I think, probably doesn't have quite as much pressure, and so it probably takes just a little bit longer, and the fact that the hand top only has 2 cups versus 4, so you are switching them. So anyways, that is a positive thing that I really do like about this, and that I think is definitely beneficial, especially having more than one cow. Alright, so here we are. Now, what I did at the beginning was I put them on back to front, but the first several times, I think that last cup that you put on has a lot of suction. She didn't like it, and so she would kick this foot upwards. And so to avoid that, or avoid getting in the way, I went front to back, or back to front, and then front to back, so that if she kicks, it's with the other leg and it's not near me. But since doing that, I think she's gotten used to it, and so she hasn't been kicking. Okay, so I've got my claw upside down. I've got my tubes pointing towards her front. I take the back one, just simply bring it up one at a time. Lift it up all the way to her bag. And it just sucks the teat right up. There you go. And then just make sure that they're up against the bag. And then you let it hang and then they're milking. And it goes quite quickly. It's just a matter of minutes before she's done. So that's how you attach those. I know there's a certain way it says in the instructions to undo the suction when you're done. I have not figured that out yet. One, the instructions are horrible. The pictures are horrible. Okay, so I just simply do it the same way that I did my hand top. And I just undo 1 cup at a time. And I just simply put my finger in against the teat and release the pressure. And so that will help also release pressure in the other 3 as well. Alright, so all 4 of them are done. So all that I do is just simply put my finger in up against the teat. And you hear the pressure release. I go ahead and let the air continue to go through there. It helps release the pressure so they come off super easy off the other ones. And then that's it as far as using the machine. Alright, so I make sure that I lean on this lid since it doesn't clasp shut. These tubes can be kind of really tight to get on and off. And I don't want the lid coming up again, and I don't want any contaminants, especially from the barn, in my milk. And then at this point, I just simply get my handle, lift it, and go put it in my little wagon to take up to the house. Alright, so here we are back in the kitchen. This is like the cleaning part of it. So again, I will go ahead and take things apart so that you can see how to actually put them together again. So when we get into the house, obviously we're gonna actually just take the lid off. What I do like about this canister, and they have a couple different canisters in the same size. The one that I chose actually has a handle on the bottom. So I appreciate that because that helps me be able to lift it up and be able to pour the milk out of the canister. So first things that I do, simply lifting it up, and then I strain the milk right out. So for cleaning, obviously we're taking all of this apart to undo the large claw and the small claw. Alright, I'm going to set these tubes aside for cleaning. Alright, now we're down to the nitty-gritty. We've got our claw. So I'm going to take the air tubes off first so that you can see those. Alright, so this is what it looks like. Okay, so these tubes do come off. I don't really clean these. Every once in a while I'll clean them, but I mean just air goes through here, so I'm not worried about it. It doesn't touch the milk. But these tubes are the same width all the way. Obviously there's 4 of them, and then you have this piece that's in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to lay that aside. Like I said, I don't wash this very often just because it's the air tubes. The milk doesn't go through here, so I'm not worried about those, and they don't get dirty. So, all right, the others. Okay, so we've got 4 of these teacups. Lay those aside. All right, so Typically, when I take these off of the claw, I do it under hot water. I make sure that the hot water is running on this and twist them off, because these tubes are tight and they're hard to get on and off basically. Not hard to get on, but they're hard to get off of all of these pieces. So the one thing that I don't like about this versus the hand top was easy to get the tubing on and off. It was thinner, a lot more flexible than these. If you have any hand issues, hand strength issues, arthritis, carpal tunnel that's real bad, anything that causes you to have weak grip, this is going to be really difficult for you. I mean, it's difficult for me. So putting it under hot water helps to make the tubing a little bit more flexible. So it's a little easier to get off. Okay, so I'll show you these tubes. Okay, so if you can see, it's one thickness until you get to this part. Okay, it comes out a little bit more. That is this part of the tubing that you attach to the claw. Because if you see, there's a hole right there. This is where the milk comes in and then through this claw into the tubing. Okay, so with this hole, and then you put this on it, it allows space between the tubing and this metal piece for the milk to go in there. So in the ideal situation, you would be able to bring the whole machine up to your house or your garage, or if you have a milking parlor in your barn, that would be wonderful. So that you can keep all of this attached to the machine. Because if you do that, you can simply run water through these tubings that way, and run clean water through it, vinegar water through it, you know, whatever, and be able to wash them that way. I don't have the ideal situation because I have to leave the machine down at the barn, and I have to bring up everything separately. So the other thing that would be really cool in the ideal situation, and I didn't think about beforehand, was if you have one of those really large, deep, like, I don't know what you call them, utility sinks or whatever that people put in their garages and stuff. That would be really cool because this milking bucket is really large and doesn't fit in a sink very well. It's kind of hard to clean. It's kind of awkward to clean in here. So the ideal situation for this setup is if you're able to bring the machine into your garage and into one of those large sinks so that you can use the machine to run the water through it. Or if you have a milking parlor and you've got water in one of those large sinks down in your milking parlor, run it that way. I don't have that, like I said, so I have to bring it this way. So I'm actually not really going to show you how I clean this out with the cleaners, because I'm acting as the machine, which means I have to suck the cleaner in and blow it back out. Not the ideal situation. So, but that's what I have right now. Our hope is that someday we're going to be able, we've got an area for it, but someday be able to put water down at the barn, be able to get one of those sinks, and then be able to wash things down there. But until then, I'm the machine. So, like I said, this is not the ideal situation, but you do what you have to do. I want the cleaner to run through the tubing. So, it is what it is. But I will show you, I run hot water through the tubing first. So we'll come back over to the sink here. Alright. So I'm just going to run hot water through the tubing first. And I do not worry about cleaning the small tube, which is the air tube. I don't worry about that because, again, it's only air going through here and it doesn't get dirty. There's no milk going through it, so I kind of get that out of the way. Alright. So run the hot water through the tubing first. And get out all that milk water. Come on. There we go. Alright. So, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one end, I'm going to blow the water out, and then I'm going to stick one end in the vinegar water that I have, and I'm going to suck it through the tube. And what I like to do is just kind of run it through there a couple times. Whether you're using soapy water or you're using vinegar water like I have now, just going to run it through the tube a couple times and then hang it up to dry. After running the cleaner through the tube, I am going to run hot water through it one more time just to get all that cleaner or the vinegar out. Alright, and then that's it for the tubing, for that part of the tubing. So I'm going to start with the milk tubings. Okay, this is where the milk went through. I happen to have these little brushes that came from the hand top machine when I got it. This machine did not come with any scrubbers, which I was not pleased about. Now it depends on who you buy it from, because I did see some companies where they include some scrubbers for the machine. For whatever reason, this one did not. So all I have is these small ones, and it works for these tubes just fine. I'm going to use my washcloth just as a little gripper, and then I'm going to run my vinegar water with my, or it would be if you're using your soapy water, and run the brush through there. And I'm going to do that with all 4 of these, and then run some water through it. There was not as much cleaning like this with the hand top one. You didn't have to pull everything apart. And all I did with the hand top one was just simply run vinegar water through the tubing with the machine, because the machine was easy to bring up to the house, so we had it here all the time. And so I was able to use the machine to run the vinegar water through it. And the instructions for the hand top was just to use only vinegar water. They did not tell you that you should, or they actually said don't use soapy water through the tubing. Alright, so I do use the scrubber to be able to clean in this small area where the milk goes through. I don't clean out this air spout. I don't worry about it. Now, the thing that I did learn about this was that this does not go through the plastic lining. Okay, this plastic lining comes in through this cup. There's a layer of air between this plastic lining that's in here. And this sucks that air out of that space. And so when you are hooking up your machine, when you're ready to use it, I will make sure that I dump this out and that there is no water in here. Because when you're cleaning, you can get water in here and it gets trapped in that space in between the teat cup and the liner. Okay, and then if that happens, then when you hook your air tube up to this, it's going to suck that liquid right up into the air tube, and gets in all the air tubing and things like that. Okay, which is what you don't want. So I did learn that. So I always, before I hook it up in the morning or in the evening, make sure that I dump out if any water got in there. Okay. This is where I would love to have a larger brush and be able to brush inside of here, but I don't. So I'm going to have to look on their site or Amazon. I don't know who makes this machine. I have not been able to find out. Hand top was so easy because in their instruction manual, they tell you if you want spare parts, go to Handtop, go to handtop.com or something like that, and it takes you right to their website and you can order any of their supplies. I have not found this for this company. So, in fact, the seller just said to get spare stuff on Amazon there. So, which obviously, because he wants you to buy it from him, because he's got accessories, I guess. So, running water through it, and then set it out to dry. And then again, I'm going to do that with all 4 of those. Okay, so for the claw, again, I'm really glad that I have this small scrubber from Handtop, because I go ahead and I scrub inside of here. Make sure that I get the cleaner in there and scrub in each one of those. Now this is the piece that I had told you earlier has rusted a little bit. And again, I don't know how you can not get rust in there, because you have to clean this. This is where milk comes through. So I clean inside of this as well, and it's rusted like right here. I don't know about this part because I can't see it, but for sure I can see right there. So and if you watch my Handtop video, you'll see the difference in how much you clean this one versus how much you clean the Handtop one. Okay, running water through it again. Okay, so, and then I store it sitting like this so that this part will drain as well. I don't put water in any of the air tubes, okay, in any of the air pieces here. The only place that I put water through is where the milk goes through. Again, using my scrubber and your cleaners, running it through there. I like to clean the top of it, but I try to avoid getting water in any of these little tubings. Rub the underside. I'm trying not to get water into these places, but it's not always possible. So I just try to limit it, especially since I started seeing a little bit of rust in here. So I think there's probably rust inside this middle piece. So I'm really trying to limit the amount of water that gets in there. Kind of hard, possibly impossible, but I'm trying. I think it may just, I don't know how you can avoid getting rust in some of those spots. I just don't know. Because you gotta clean everything. You have to. Alright. And then wash it off again. I'm not gonna run water through any of those areas other than the one that takes the milk in. Okay. And then I set it out to dry just like this. Alright, so I'm just going to put some of my cleaners in there. This is just what I'm doing for right now. Obviously, you can, if you got your dish soap, just squirt your dish soap in there. Get your water in there. Alright. That's what it takes to clean it, and that's what it takes to put it together. Obviously, everything that I did to undo when you're putting it together, you see the parts that I had, and you'll just put it together instead of taking it apart, obviously. So that's kind of the rundown of it. Obviously, I've shown you the downside to this machine. I do like the Handtop machine better as far as ease of cleaning around, being able to bring the machine into the house to be able to use that to help with cleaning the tubes out. But I like that this is a little bit larger I've got the 4 teacups, and it does milk out a little quicker. But I feel like for the price that I paid for the bigger machine, I would have liked it to be a little better quality. I was disappointed with the fact that it was broken when it got to me. The front part was, and then that little piece was missing. I don't like that it's the whole thing with the wheels. It's got one small little wheel up the front and 2 slightly larger wheels at the back. I don't like that it's not real sturdy to be able to take down to the barn. You know, I feel like if you're gonna pay or you're gonna charge that much for a machine, it should be able to work a little better than that. The instructions of how to put it together are awful. It's clearly not written by anybody whose first language is English. Just because of how they word things, you can tell English is not their first language. So that can make things kind of difficult when you're trying to figure out what in the world they're saying. I do like this machine. I don't regret getting it. Okay, I don't regret getting it. I believe that it's going to be a huge time saver for us as far as the milking goes. One of the things that you are going to deal with this machine versus like the hand top one is you do have to deal with maintenance. So you do have to deal with making sure that there's oil in certain parts of it. The hand top, there's like no maintenance to it. So, you know, again, I think that hand top is a really great machine if you have like 1 cow. Worked wonderful, easy to use, easy to clean, easy to transport. I don't think I have anything bad to say about hand top. This one has a few more downsides to it, but again, for having multiple cows, it's going to be a really good machine. So yeah, so that's pretty much my review of those things, of the 2 machines, how to put this machine together, and how to use it. So those are your pros and cons, I guess, of the machine. My view of this one versus a hand top. So if you're in the market, you know, hopefully this will help you kind of decide what you want. And again, it depends like on how many cows you have. If you just have 1, I would say by all means go for the hand top. It was great, and it's less expensive. If you need to replace the motor, it's only a little over $100, and really, I mean, it worked for an entire year. And then I think the reason that it just was not working as well was because of my error of running liquid through there a few too many times. So, but you know, if you're having multiple cows, this is a good machine. You just have a couple more things to have to kind of deal with or mess with. So all in all, I think both of them are good machines. So that's my review. I hope that this helps. If you did get a machine like this, I hope that I've been able to clarify how to use it well, how to clean it, things like that. Please be sure to like and subscribe the videos. Come back for more. If you have any comments, if you have questions, anything like that, drop it in the comment section. I always get back to people who make comments. So appreciate you guys coming along for the ride, and we will see you next time. Have a absolutely wonderful day.